All right, welcome everybody to Remembering the Truth of Who We Are. I am your host, Jocelyn Mercado. I'm so excited to welcome you to this 10-day event. And we will wait just a minute or two so that everybody all around the world who is joining in can have time to get onto Zoom and so that nobody will miss any part of the interview here. So we will hang on just a minute or two and let everybody join. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you all here with us today. Wonderful. I see lots of people joining, and for those who are just coming in now, we will get started in just about a minute. I want to let everybody have plenty of time to join before we begin. Hi, Sanja. Welcome, welcome. So happy you're here too. Oh, people are saying there's no video. Yes, there should be video. That's odd. So let me stop my video and start it again. That is very strange. Can anybody see my video now? Let me know in the chat. Yes. Okay, good. Well, that was a glitch. Okay, good, good. Thank you, everyone in the chat who told me you couldn't see anything. Good, good. So glad you can see me now. Okay. And so Dr. Taria Ward is here with me. So Taria, would you say something? And I want to make sure that everybody can see you.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited about this event. I've been talking to Jocelyn about it since she conceived of the idea and have just been so excited watching her pull it all together and her just master sense of who to invite and how to organize it. It's just been so exciting to watch. And so I couldn't be more thrilled to be here, ready to witness and be a part of it.
Thank you, Taria. Okay, wonderful. So it looks like everybody can see you too. If anybody can't see Taria, please let me know right away. But hopefully our video is working all around. Okay, good, good, good. Wonderful. Well, we have a large group on today. This is just really beautiful and fantastic. Lots of people from all around the world. And I'm just so excited to be joining together with all of you at the beginning of this 10-day event. So to kick this off, I just want to once again welcome everybody to Remembering the Truth of Who We Are. And I am your host. I'm the creator of the event, and my name is Jocelyn Mercado. And our co-host for today and my co-host throughout much of these 10 days, Dr. Taria Ward, is also on with us, as you just saw her. So welcome, Taria.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Yeah, so this event is a global awakening experience, and this is really truly designed to bring you new understandings about your inner wisdom, your ancestral memories, your soul memories, and all of this is to guide you forward with renewed vision and purpose. So as I wrote in the email that went out this morning, I strongly recommend that everybody, if you can, dedicate a new journal to this event. We're going to be just really going deep and diving into lots of self-discovery exercises, meditations, some really beautiful experiential processes for you in every single interview. So I encourage you to take notes and write down any insights or anything new that comes through that feels important. Because that's really the purpose of this, is to help you just reach a new level in your own joy and fulfillment in your life, and also your own understanding of what you are meant to offer to the world, to really, because individually and collectively right now, we are all being called to just step up, bring our unique gifts and talents to the forefront and change the world in whatever way we're each uniquely meant to do. So that's what we're here for. That's what this 10 days is all about. So I hope everybody gets a lot out of it. So I want to just tell you briefly also how the event works in case you don't already know. So there will be either 3 or 4 interviews per day. and there will be a total of 34 interviews over a 10-day period. So if you can't see the interviews live when they first happen, or if you can't watch the recordings when they're first posted, then don't worry, you still have 3 days to watch them, 72 hours to watch each of them from the time that they initially air. And there's also, of course, the option to purchase the full set if you want. That is really, really valuable with the amazing and brilliant teachers that we have brought together for this event. So you might want to consider that. That's completely optional. All of it is free if you want to watch it as the interviews air and within the 3 days after they air. So I welcome you all to do that. And as for these live events, everybody who is watching live has done a great job of figuring out how to join us on Zoom. There will be an email going out each day with the Zoom instructions, just to make sure that's really clear to everybody, because we want as many people to join us live as possible. After all of the live interviews, we'll have an engaging and interactive Q&A session where you can ask the speakers your own questions. So that will be very exciting. I can't wait for that part in all of the 16 live interviews. That's going to be really, really fun. Okay, so I think with that, we can go ahead and get started. And I do want to, so Dr. Taria Ward, who's here with me today, and she's going to be interviewing me. Her interview, where I'm going to be interviewing her, is happening at the same time tomorrow. So you'll learn a lot more about her then, but I want to just briefly introduce you now, Taria. Taria Ward is a depth psychologist, and she is a dream work expert, and has been doing dream work for how long?
More than 40 years.
More than 40 years. Yeah, she's just amazing, the insights that she brings around dreams. And so Taria and I also work together to host a monthly dreaming symposium, which we'll tell you more about in Taria's interview, which has been really, really exciting. So I am just so excited to have Taria as my co-host for this event. So welcome, Taria.
Thank you, Jocelyn. It's my pleasure and privilege, and I am happy to be able to introduce you. So for those who don't know more about your background, let me just give this briefly. Jocelyn is the founder of Sacred Planet, and she's the creator of this event to remembering the truth of who we are. She is a spiritual guide for the modern world, transformational life and business coach, a writer, and an environmentalist. Jocelyn created Sacred Planet as a global community for the many people all around the world who are waking up, raising their consciousness, and listening to their intuition. Her mission is to take you on a process of breaking free from everything that holds you back, to guide you in unlearning the information that no longer serves your highest good, so that you can open up to the space and freedom in your life to reconnect with your deepest truths. She seeks to awaken your deepest awareness to ways that you can heal yourself and at the same time heal the earth. Jocelyn believes that even as we are witnessing the systems and structures of the old modern world crumbling around us, we have a tremendous opportunity at this moment in time to rise up together and create something entirely new that is aligned with peace, compassion, community, and love. And Jocelyn's topic for today, which I'm excited to hear her to speak about, is the ancient mother goddess consciousness, a portal to the imaginal. So thank you, Jocelyn. I'm just really excited. So to begin with, just tell us, why is it important to honor and acknowledge the ancient mother goddess right now at this moment in our history?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that, Taria. So, you know, it's been really fascinating, and as I told you a few days ago, I almost had no choice but to talk about this topic of the ancient mother goddess, because the information, both in the form of books and different research that's been kind of coming my way, as well as insights in my meditations, lots and lots of information coming through about the ancient mother goddess. And so it feels just so strong that she wants to connect with us. She wants to help us in this awakening and expanding consciousness time that we are in right now. So I just felt, so strongly about sharing about her today. So just want to say that as kind of the preface to all of this. So what's really important about this moment in history in order to see this, we have to look way back. So virtually, we all know that virtually all human cultures in ancient times, going back literally tens of thousands of years, like this is 30,000 years ago, or possibly even more, have always placed life at the center. Human beings, we just, as recognizing our place on the earth, our place in cosmos, we have always known that the earth and the sun, right, these entities are the source of all life, and that we cannot just take and take and take and not give back. So that's what we're doing right now at this time, right, on the earth. We're taking so much. We're taking so much from Mother Earth. We're just, we're mining and drilling, and we're, spraying poisons, whatever it is. We're taking. And this is so important to recognize right now and to really point out, because this goes directly against what we have always known in our hearts, that we need to respect and honor life. We need to respect and honor the earth as the source of our life. And we need to give back. We need to create a reciprocal relationship where we are giving back in some way. And this is what the ancient cultures always did, right? There were always ceremonies and celebrations at certain times of the year where people would celebrate, the coming of spring, or celebrate the winter solstice, whatever, all these different holidays, natural, nature-based holidays throughout the year. And there was always giving back to the earth. There was giving of food or tobacco, or there was dancing and ceremony that was held upon the earth, that was created to enliven the people and also the earth and all creatures. And this is really our role as human beings, right? Is to be in this reciprocal connection with earth. It's absolutely essential to who we are. And the ancient cultures always knew that, in order to keep receiving the food and the rains and everything that we need to sustain our life, we need to give back. If we look at ancient sites, such as there's a site in modern day Turkey that's called Çatalhöyük, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And if we also look at ancient Crete and many other places, we find these beautiful statues of the mother goddess. And many times she has a full belly, right? Like a pregnant belly, and full breasts, and she's very round. She's just very motherly, very earthy, very abundant in every way. And she is the giver of life. This is the ancient mother goddess, the giver of life, the source of the ultimate miracle, which is birth, right? In which, and that miracle, and long ago in ancient times, people didn't know that the man played a part in that, right? They just knew that at certain times a woman would swell up and eventually a new human being would come out. Like, what an incredible miracle. What magic is that, right? And so starting with that consciousness, and even once the man's part in that became apparent, this miracle of life, this ability of the feminine to create new life, was just really seen as the greatest mystery of all. And it's even bigger than birth alone, right? So it's an ability of seen, ascribed to women, to the mother goddess, to Mother Earth, and really to the essential feminine force of nature itself, to go through this continual cycle of birth, life, death, and then rebirth. And we see this happen in the changing of the seasons, right? We see it, birth being spring, the height of life being in the summer, fall and winter being, associated with death. And then in spring, it's reborn again. And this happens with the cycle of the moon. This happens with the cycles of day and night. It happens with our own life cycles. This is the continual mystery in which we live. And it's like an ever-changing constant, right? It's always moving on to the next stage. It's always a little different, but this cycle continues. It's birth, life, death, and rebirth again. And we see that again and again in every form of nature. So that is the essence of the ancient mother goddess, this miracle of this continuous magical cycle. Also, I just want to point out, a big part of that magic is what I mentioned, is that the woman and the womb, being a portal through which new consciousness can be birthed, right? A new human being, but not just a physical being, a being with a soul, a being with a soul purpose and soul memories is birthed into the physical here and now. So all of this cycle of life and death and rebirth, as well as the magic and miracle of birth itself, are what the ancient mother goddess represents and encompasses. And so for our times right now, we just so very desperately need this magic again. We need this magic to really come to the forefront. We are clearly, I think everybody who has, joined this event knows that we're in very intense times right now. That's what most of the invitations to this event said, right? We're living in very intense times. And how can we learn more about, how to operate, how to make sense of everything that's happening right now? And so a huge part of this process that we're in right now is in evolving into a more and more intimate reconnection with the essential aspects of the feminine, and life, death, and rebirth being really at the center of that. But we need to be very open. We need to really let this new guidance and the insights and inspiration come through regarding what we can do, how we can each take action and how we can collectively take action to create something entirely new, to birth something entirely new, a new form of consciousness into the world. The same way the mother births a new human being with its own, soul and consciousness into the world. And so because of that, I have found it's just been so incredibly helpful to connect with the ancient mother goddess, to study the ancient mother goddess in all her different forms, and through her to connect with the ancient ways of living. And so there are many ways to do this, right? We can work with lineages of people who are still practicing their traditional ways, the ancient ways, who are still living today, right? But we can also do this by working with our guides, whether we choose to connect with the ancient mother goddess, which I'll share a practice with you about that later, or connecting with our own spirit guides and angels and helpers and the divine presence in our own lives to help us understand what we have forgotten from those ancient times till now. And it comes back to remembering, this is about remembering what we all once knew, remembering what's really and truly in our hearts so that we can rebuild our reciprocal connection with the earth and rebuild the fullest life for each of us.
Right. So Jocelyn, I'm intrigued that you call her a portal to the imaginal. So tell us why that's part of your topic and how you're thinking about her right now. I'm very intrigued with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this part of it. So first, let me just explain what I mean by the imaginal so that will be clear. And this is something that Taria, you and I have talked about so much, especially as related to the dream work.
Yes.
But what I mean when I talk about the imaginal is I see the imaginal realm as a part of our existence that we usually cannot see or perceive with our five normal senses, right? But it's always right here and around us. Like the imaginal, it is kind of intermeshed and interwoven with the reality that we do see. And when we can tap into that imaginal and tap into the deeper dimensions of our existence, we can really perceive so much more, and so this is when we talk about, people talk about having a sixth sense or using your intuition. That is tapping into the imaginal. When we experience the wisdom that comes through in our dreams, we're receiving information from another place outside of this logical, linear reality that we tend to move about in on a day-to-day basis. When we meditate, right, we're accessing that. Or when we, especially, if we begin a prayer or a ritual by welcoming in our ancestors or welcoming in our spirit guides, we know they're here with us, right? And when we normally, sometimes, you can see them or perceive them in some more physical way, but normally we can't see them, but we know we can feel their presence here, right? And they are a part of that imaginal. Even when if we stand outside, if we stand at the top of a mountain, right, and we just see the beauty, all the beauty and feel that awe in our hearts, or when we stand outside at twilight and take in all those pinks and oranges and sparkly colors that come through in the world, it just seems like the world is a different place. Even that, I believe, is a part of the imaginal realm. You know, that's when it's said that fairies come out, and it's a magical time, right? And also synchronicities spring forth from the imaginal. Whether, you know, so like if you think of a friend that you haven't talked to in years, and then 10 minutes later they call you, that connection formed in the imaginal realm. You know, it was something that's, it's not linear or logical, but it's real. We know it's there. And when you enter into the imaginal, whether you go in through meditation or through, you know, any of the other ways that I mentioned, then you enter into the opportunity to be in communication and in relationship with another source of intelligence, right? Whether that's our ancestors or our spirit guides or the dream time, or, you know, God, goddess, a higher power. And so it's really beautiful, and it's really important for us to cultivate this in our lives, because as I kind of mentioned in the last section where I answered your first question, we need to look for something beyond what we're currently experiencing, right? We know that there's something missing. And if we reach back in time to the ancient times, we can see what, you know, what was there. A big part of what was there was their connection, their interconnection with all of life and with this imaginal realm, knowing that that's real, and we can reach out to that, those presences there for help. So back to your question then, Taria, how is the ancient mother goddess a portal to the imaginal? So when we reach out to her, this is where we have the opportunity for some serious magic to happen, right? So really tap into the imaginal, because so as I mentioned before, the ancient mother goddess was present, as far as we can tell scientifically and anthropologically, at least 30,000 years ago or more. And so in the minds of the ancient people, there could be no doubt that the mother goddess was the creator of all that existed, you know. So from her, or from Mother Earth, the ancient mother goddess and Mother Earth are, you know, very closely related and interconnected, because that's what all life springs forth from the earth. From her are birthed all things in creation. And so she was the one who sent the plants and animals to us to be eaten for food, or sent the rains and winds for cleansing and for, you know, to give us water. And so among human beings, women were the reflection of this. Women are the reflection of Mother Earth, with the ability to create new life. And those are the physical aspects of it, but there was so much more to it. We see from a vast number of accounts from ancient times that the ancient people had a very strong perception of this, of the imaginal, of the unseen realms. And so, you know, as I mentioned earlier, they realized that certain specific times of the year, like, for example, what we call Halloween now, you know, in ancient times was recognized as a time when the veils were thinner between the worlds. When communication could more easily happen between the physical seen world that we live in every day and this unseen world, or the imaginal realm. And so on those days, they would reach out and celebrate and connect with the ancestors, or the spirit guides, or a higher power, or the ancient mother. They would have lots of different celebrations and ceremonies to reach out and connect. There were mystery schools too. There was the Eleusinian mystery school in Greece, which was very, very much about reaching higher states of consciousness and connecting with the unseen realms, as well as the very well-known Egyptian mystery schools, which centered around Isis. And even Mary Magdalene was said to be an initiate of those schools, right? So there was so much focus on not just the physical reality of survival, but also on connecting with these unseen realms, connecting with the imaginal as an integral and essential part of life. So when we make that effort to connect with the ancient mother goddess, she really is a portal to the imaginal, because she allows us to learn more about that ancient reality, how the ancient people experienced life, so that we can bring that into our day-to-day reality now.
And so here we are in our modern era. We're modern people. What are your suggestions about how we can enter this portal, or how we can call the Mother Goddess in and use that or be with that portal so that we remember who we really are? I mean, for the modern initiate, what is your idea for how to connect that consciousness to our daily life?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that, because it's so important for us to really make this real in our lives, right? And not just let it be an idea out there, but to be something that we really welcome into our lives. And there are two main ways that this will help us. So I want to talk about those briefly first, and then I'll take you through an exercise that I have found very useful that everybody can experience. And one thing I want to mention here too is that these, our ancestors and our spirit guides and the higher power, they want to connect with us. They want to reach out to us and guide us and help us through these times, through these tumultuous times that we're in. They're reaching out to us through our dreams, as Terry, as you and I are seeing in the Dreaming Symposium. As the more that our group gathers there, the dreams are becoming stronger and stronger and more clear. It's really incredible. So when we use these abilities to connect with the imaginal, or to connect with our dreams, or to connect with the Ancient Mother, it really does get strengthened over time. It's very, very powerful. And we can get answers that we need. We can get insights that, to unsolvable, I know I've had unsolvable problems in my life that I could not figure out on like a mental, rational, linear level. But then when I sink down into my intuition and go into meditation, or ask for a dream for guidance, the answer becomes so clear. We can really use this. We can use this information in a very real way. But let me tell you first about how this can serve us, how, what purpose it can serve in our lives, and then I'll share this practice with you. So the first way that it serves us is that it brings us home. It really brings us home. When you go through a process of connecting with ancient knowledge, whether it's with ancient goddess consciousness, which is one aspect that I'm going to share with you here, or in any other way that feels important to you, you will inevitably open up a deeper level of self-understanding about who you really are. It's like coming home to who you really are. And it happens, of course, in different ways and in different timing for everyone. But I'll just share real briefly something that's very personal to me, but I think is important and relevant to this conversation. When I first visited Taos, New Mexico, and went there to study with Woman Stand Shining, who will be in an interview on Friday. When we first arrived, there's a group of us that all got there at the same time, and she took us down to the river and played her drum there. And I had never had this experience before, in this lifetime at least. As she played her drum, I just felt as if I had heard this song hundreds and hundreds of times before. And I was just brought to tears, weeping, because I just felt like it was just so familiar to me. And in this lifetime, in this body, I know I had never heard that song before, but it was just so familiar. And it felt like home. It felt like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for home all my life, and I finally found it. And so that's what it can be like when we really consciously connect with the energies, connect with our ancestors, connect with the dream time and our guides that want to help us. They're trying to help us get home too. They're trying to help us get back to the truth. Again, I don't want to overuse the term, but the truth of who we really are. And so, I just had an absolute certainty of that moment that across many, 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 many lifetimes, I had heard that song so many times before, and there's no doubt in my mind. So and I'm sure many people listening have probably had that experience in one way or another, where it's like, whether it's like a deja vu experience or something you read or a song that you hear and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so familiar to me. But it's coming home. And when we follow this guidance that we are receiving from these other levels of intelligence, these non-linear sources of intelligence, it will bring us to that space. The second way that this really serves us, this whole process of remembering and opening and discovering, is that it opens up a space within each of us, within each of you listening out there, as an individual, that you can receive guidance from a higher power. And guidance not only for yourself, right? So guidance for each of us as an individual, but also the collective guidance that's coming through. And again, Taria, like we see coming through in the dreaming symposiums, it's for a collective. It's a message that's meant to be heard by many. Because we are receiving and we are being asked to listen now for this guidance on how to reestablish a good, positive, peaceful, compassionate way of being. And it comes back to how to reestablish that reciprocal connection with the earth, right? So it's not just about each of us as individuals, it's also about the larger collective level and what part are we each meant to play. So we're receiving on both of those levels. And it's so important to say here that we are not helpless and powerless, like many of us are led to believe, by mainstream society. We're brought up to feel like, oh, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing, I can't change the way things are. Marianne Williamson has a really, really beautiful quote in which she says that we're far more powerful than we know. And in fact, that we're even afraid of our power, that we may be holding back, right? From what we're really capable of, because we're afraid of that power. But what we really urgently need to do right now is to realize that we have so much more power and potential than we can even possibly understand at this moment. And to just really trust and surrender and to go into a space of connection with these, vaster forms of intelligence than us, and listen for the guidance, and take action. So here's one way of connecting with the ancient mother goddess. With all that said, here's one way of connecting with her that is really very concrete, but that will get you in touch with the imaginal. So, and this has been my process, and this has been really very fun. So I recommend, if this calls to you, if this idea of the ancient mother goddess and, how did ancient peoples live? How did the ancient civilizations operate, right? If this calls to you, then what I recommend is to start doing some research along those lines. So you could start by Googling ancient goddesses, Google mystery schools, Google ancient civilizations, see what comes up, see what strikes your interest. Because whatever you are drawn to, that is already connecting you with the imaginal of like the golden threads of what you're meant to discover, right? Of what you're meant to learn. So just really start searching around on topics like this that may interest you, and immerse yourself in that wisdom that you find. So if you get led to a book, then go ahead and buy that book and read it and see what comes through for you. Or maybe it's some research information online or whatever that might be. Maybe it'll bring you to a meditation, but just follow that and trust it and see where it leads. One book that I can especially recommend to anyone who's interested in what I've been talking about here today is called The Great Cosmic Mother. And that's written by Monica Sue. I think her last name is spelled S-J-O-O. And this is just really an incredible and a beautifully written book. It's a spectacular book. You can find used versions on it on Amazon, used versions of it on Amazon for a very, very reasonable price. And it traces the ancient goddess consciousness all the way back to about 30,000 years BC to the present day. So it's really, really fascinating. But all you really need to do is follow the golden threads to what you feel drawn to explore. And then when you are ready, choose an aspect of that to go really deeply into. And even I can recommend, if you are drawn to this goddess consciousness, choose an ancient goddess, choose a particular goddess to bring into your meditations and to study more closely. one who seems to hold special meaning for you.
Mm.
And I want to point out that men can do this too. This is not just for women, because we are all being called to connect with the ancient feminine and with the essential feminine aspects within all of us. We all hold feminine and masculine within us, whether we're men or women. We hold both within us. And so, men can do this exercise too. So once you have chosen your goddess or any aspect of these ancient civilizations that's really, really meaningful to you, then welcome your goddess or welcome that aspect of the ancients into your meditations. Ask her to come and speak with you. If you can find a drumming track or some meditative music that you really like, listen to that and just reach out to her and see, how does she want to connect?
Mm-hmm.
An essential aspect of this is, like I mentioned earlier, that these other levels of intelligence, our ancestors, the ancient mother, they want to connect with us. So then when we extend that invitation out to them to do so, it's very, very powerful. You get a very powerful response. Really, really amazing. And so I want to just share a few of the goddesses that you could choose, because there are so many beautiful goddesses that represent the ancient mother in every single culture, really virtually in every single culture. At some point along the way in history, there was a mother goddess that was very, very core and central to that culture. So I'm glancing at my notes here, but for example, in Native American cultures, we have Pachamama, who is the mother of all space and time, the Corn Mother, and the Corn Mother shows up in many, many different Native American cultures in many different forms, but she, the corn being the essential substance that kept the people alive. The Corn Mother is vitally important. And also the Aztec mother goddess was called Tonantzin. So those are, some Native American mother goddesses. And then in ancient Egypt, we have Isis, who came by many names. She was also Inanna, Ishtar, Ashara, and many other names. Isis is really incredible. I mean, that she just goes so far back in time and so far back in human history. She's really, really beautiful to research and connect with and learn more about. In ancient Greece, we have, some that probably everybody who has heard of, which is Demeter. Demeter is the mother goddess, and also Artemis is kind of the warrior mother. And the nature mother. Interesting, the combination of those two, right? In ancient India, we have Durga, who was the warrior mother goddess, and we have Kali, who was the creatrix of time, but also kind of considered a mother goddess. And then in ancient Japan, there is Amaterasu, and she was the goddess of the sun. It's very interesting that the sun is, in most cultures where I read about now, the sun is considered more masculine, but in some of these ancient cultures, the sun was considered very, very feminine. So it's interesting to see that. And then in ancient Germanic cultures, we have Eostre, which is where the word Easter comes from, or Astara, and those were both those were two names for the goddess who brings back the spring and brings back the warmth and life to the land. So those are just some ideas for goddesses that you could connect with if you are interested and enthralled by this idea. But it's very, very powerful to connect with the ancient mother goddess in any of these forms that you might choose.
Can I tell you a little story about a goddess who reached out to me in a dream?
Yes, I would love to hear that. Yes.
Yeah, many years ago, maybe 8 or 10, I had a dream where there was it was like way out in the cosmos, there was a energy that was like almost like knocking on my field of consciousness. It was like she was like, and I knew it was an ancient Celtic goddess, and she was reaching out to me and trying to get through. And something in the density of, this time space thing, it was like she was really working on it, trying to get through. And the dream was really lovely, but and I didn't know who it was, but I knew she was ancient and Celtic. And she gave me this ring, and the ring was like little woven twigs, and it was all made of gold. And so I was talking to a friend of mine the next day on the phone, and he looked up, I don't know how he did it. He looked up goddesses and rings. He was smart with, like you are, with how to Google things and do stuff. And by the time, just in a few minutes time, he found that ring. He sent me a copy of it.
Wow.
And it was called Danu's ring. And it was the design of the ring was the ancient goddess Danu. So then I knew with certainty that it was Danu, that she was the goddess that was reaching out to me. And her story is amazing. And it just felt so resonant in my soul. And I found a place in nature. They say Danu hangs out at the edge where the waters are. So I found a beautiful river spot near me where a stream goes through. And I call it my Danu spot. And I visit it regularly. And it's where I connect with her. So these things are real. They really happen. I mean, I hadn't heard anybody speak like you're speaking, but it just like was knocking on me in a dream. And now I have this regular spot where I feel like she guides me and speaks to me.
That's
So
beautiful.
follow your dreams or ask for a dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask for a dream. Yes, definitely. If you are, like I said, having a tough time making a decision or need some guidance in your life, ask for a dream to help. It is powerful.
Yeah. Dreams are ready to do that.
Yes.
When you were telling this story, Jocelyn, about Women Stand Shining drumming at the river and knowing that you'd heard this song many times before, I was thinking the river is playing a part in that too. It was like maybe she was awakening the voice of the river, because the river runs through time. Some of these rivers are ancient. They've been there for aeons. And so they really carry the memory and the history of just all this earth consciousness. So tell us some of your ways. I know you have special ways of like listening into the earth, because she really is, the earth is the ancient mother goddess.
Yes.
Absolutely, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about listening into the earth for some of these messages that she's giving.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. One of my favorite things to do, and it's harder now in the winter as it's cold, but I just love to lay on the earth, like flat on my belly, head down to the earth. I just love to lay on her. And I really feel a deep, deep connection with her at those times. I'll either lay with my chest and belly down or my left side down, so that either way my heart is touching her as closely as possible. Because we are so interconnected with our Mother Earth. And the HeartMath Institute is doing some incredible research. And I know, Taria, you've spoken about this too, that, there are electromagnetic frequencies in the earth and in us. And our hearts are designed to beat in coherence with her. And so we have, I'm sure this will come up quite a bit during this entire series of talks, but it's so powerful. We need to be in coherence with her to be able to receive the insights and the information that we're meant to get, the guidance that we're meant to receive. But even just, you don't have to lie flat on the ground. Even just taking a walk in nature or sitting at the base of a tree and see what animals show up. If you can go out in a place in nature where there's not a lot of people around and sit at the base of a tree or just sit on the earth and do a meditation, even if it's, on your phone, you just pull up some music on YouTube that's meditative music and listen to that and just let yourself sink in really deeply. When you're out in nature, the connection that you have with all of the intelligence around you, the connection with Mother Earth, the connection with the animals, the connection with the plants and the trees, all of that can come through. It's very, very, very powerful. And yes, the earth is she is our original ancient mother goddess for sure. She is the essential ancient mother goddess.
And I have read recently in a variety of different places how important it is to have bare feet on the earth. That walking with bare feet, even if it's 10 minutes a day, and obviously in this weather, for those of us in the cold climates, that's not really possible. But I really want to remember and do that with my grandson. Take his shoes off and And
well, that's why kids always want to take their shoes off anyway. I know my girls, they always want to take their shoes off. So
right,
I try to say yes whenever I can because that's our natural state.
right, it is. It's
There's a quote in Women Who Run with the Wolves, that book by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. There's a quote that she, and I'll try to get this as close as I can, that she was quoting an elder, a native elder, who said, the elder said, I first had to start wearing shoes when I was 20 years old. And she's like, 60, 70, 80 years old now, right? She said, I first had to start wearing shoes when I was 20 years old, and I've still not gotten used to walking with blindfolds on my feet.
Yeah, I've always remembered that one too.
Yeah.
I think that one's so powerful.
Yeah. But yes, that is so important. And that again, so it's just so interesting how the science backs up what we know the ancient people always knew in their hearts. Because if you look at it from a scientific way, that practice of earthing, of walking barefoot, there are negative ions that are exchanged between the soles of our feet and the earth, which are said to recharge and rejuvenate our bodies. And so that's the scientific side of it. And also it goes so much deeper than that. It's that just, connection with her that is so important.
Our bodies are earth. This is our piece of earth that we get to inhabit, and that connection is like she's the mother, so it's like re-entering the sort of the womb of her in a certain way, to have our bodies on her in these important ways. So yeah. And do you have other voices that come to you through nature? I know that connect you with her. I will tell this little anecdote. I know you tell stories about the woodpecker and the way the woodpecker shows up. And you came to my house, Jocelyn came to my house and spent the night when she was visiting a few months back. And when you were here, I had a dream of a woodpecker. I never had a dream of a woodpecker, but I was like, oh, I've got to tell Jocelyn her woodpecker came to visit me in my dream while you were here.
Yeah.
So that connection is seriously, that's in the imaginal, right?
Yes, the woodpecker is quite a messenger from the imaginal for me. And remember how we were out on the mountain that time when I was visiting, and there were like woodpecker calls all around.
Right, yeah.
I had never heard that there before.
I had not, and we had just started a little ceremony. I mean, they were quiet until we started our ceremony. And the minute we started our little ceremony with your little daughters, the woodpeckers were just piped up. It was the timing was phenomenal too. So listening to the earth in these ways she's really talking to us.
She's really, really talking. Yes, she really wants to connect with us. She really wants to speak with us. I have one other woodpecker story I have is there's this it's a pretty small, like probably only 2 or 3 acres, this little protected forest land out behind my house here. And nobody else goes out there but me. I'm the only one, and I'm sure my neighbors think I'm crazy every time I set off back there, but I don't care. So I go out and I'll sit out there, and I have the most beautiful meditations and shamanic journeying experiences out there. And one time, I know I told you about this real soon after it happened. This was probably a year ago. I was out there and I was laying on the ground at the base of a tree, and I was listening to a drum beat, and I was doing a shamanic journey. And there was this message that came through. And as soon as the message came through in my, perception as part of the meditation, as part of the journey, this woodpecker started just, I don't know if you can hear that on the phone.
Yeah, you can hear it.
He just started pecking like crazy, just over and over and over again as soon as that message came through. And finally I had to open my eyes because it was so loud, like in physical reality. He was very, very close to me. I opened my eyes, and it was the woodpecker itself was straight ahead from me. As soon as I opened my eyes, he was directly in my line of sight. And when I opened my eyes and looked at him, he stopped pecking and went into his hole in the tree right there. It was incredible. Like you can't, so the imaginal and the actual physical reality are working together to enhance the strength of the messages that are coming through. It's really beautiful.
That's synchronicity. That's the principle that Jung spoke of so often, how the inner realm and the outer realm coincide like that.
Yes. Yeah. So beautiful. So everybody that's listening, many of you I'm sure are already experiencing this. And if you're not, go out and find it, go out and really, start doing more of your meditative work, or look into shamanic journeying work, or connect with a goddess, whatever calls to you.
Uh-huh.
Because we are really being called to up level and expand our consciousness at these times, and to receive this guidance that's out there, so we know what to do.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah, absolutely. And probably after that, we should go to the Q&A.
Okay.
But
All
yeah.
right. Okay, and then I'll talk about your free gift too. But I want you to tell the audience, because I've been so intrigued. There's a place that you say you go back behind your house, and when you go through this certain area, you feel like you're entering a portal into another dimension. You've talked about that. Can you say
About that? Yeah, I feel like I always call it I'm entering the dream time.
Yeah.
But it's been incredible. There are like guardians at that portal. I've seen many times. I've seen snakes. One time I almost stepped on a snake because I have to step over this. It's kind of like a black fencing, like black plastic fencing that like delineates the protected forest area from the neighborhood area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to step over that, and I have to first go through these like thorn bushes, right? And because there's it's the area between the neighborhood and the forest area, and nobody takes care of that. So there's these thorn bushes I have to go through. And then I have to step over this black plastic fencing. And one time I almost stepped on a snake, and it was a black snake, which they're not poisonous, but they can shake their tail in the fallen leaves, and it sounds like a rattlesnake. So it's very intimidating sounding. So I stepped my foot over, and this snake started rattling right there, like right at my foot. And I stepped back real quick. But it's just, it was a little startling, but it's just so beautiful. And then when I stepped back, she ran away, and then I passed over and kept going. So it's like there are guardians at the entrance to the dream time. And then once I go in there, like I said, my meditations and my journeys are just so profound. Very, very different when I'm in there versus, being in my house or somewhere else.
I like the idea of the portal. I think you're really onto something there in terms of just sensing where they are and how they work and what it takes to like go through the dragons at the gate or whatever they are to get through the portal, and then understand in that imaginal way that we have just re-entered a different space-time so that we can remember who we are.
Yeah, because that is who we really are. We are meant to be in this incredible interconnection, interwovenness with all of life, life at the center. And we are a part of that life at the center. It's just so important that we get back to this. And yeah, I encourage anybody who doesn't do it regularly to find some way to get out in nature. Even if you live in a city, find a park and find some hidden area where some bushes are and hardly anybody goes, and go sit there, find a spot where you feel connected with nature, connected with trees or the ground in some way, and just go there and see what magic happens, and be really, really open to it, and nothing might happen the first 2 or 3 times, or even more, but just be open and keep trying, because they're out there. They want to communicate with us, the spirits, the ancestors, the dream time. They really do.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Jocelyn. This has just been so exciting hearing you just bring all this alive. And just conceiving of her as the ancient mother goddess that is just as present now or as ever and as always. And to remember that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun.
Yeah. So I will tell about your free gift before we do the question answer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can say more about it too, but go for it.
Okay. So Jocelyn is offering free attendance at our upcoming workshop, The Ancient One Within You, Awakening and Remembering, in which Jocelyn and myself will be guiding you in a process of integrating and grounding what you will be experiencing in these next 10 days during this remembering event. And we will help you to decide how to move forward in an empowered and inspired way using the insights and the remembrances that you receive while attending this conference. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's really, you're going to experience so much, everybody who's attending this conference. And so Dr. Taria Ward and I are going to hold this workshop that'll be, it'll be a well, it'll be on February 27th. So I guess that's about a week and a half after the conference ends, so that you will have time to really kind of integrate, finish taking all your notes, finish watching all the interviews. And then we're going to hold this on February 27th to really help you find ways to bring this into your life powerfully, right? We don't want to just leave you hanging. Like, here's all this information. Okay, have fun with it. We're going to really help you to bring it together in a way where you can integrate it into your life, get some clarity on what you're meant to do with the information, how to move forward, and how to really, really change your life in the ways that you want to. Through connecting with the ancient ways. So, and through remembering the truth of who you really are, which is what we're all about here. So thank you so much, Taria.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you for creating this so that we can have this experience and remembering.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So we want to open up for Q&A now. So there is an option. For some people, it might be along the bottom of the screen. For some people, it might be along the top, but there's an option to raise your hand. So if you would like to ask a question of me or Taria, then please go ahead and raise your hand. And so when we call on you, we're going to bring you over to talk with us. So if your video's on, you will be seen. You're welcome to turn your video off, although we would love to see your smiling face. So we welcome you to leave it on. But just, I don't want to surprise anybody, just so you know, you will be visible to everybody when you raise your hand and we bring you over. So I have Christina. So let me bring you over, Christina, and then Michelle will be next.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can.
Thank you for taking.
Did you want it that way?
Yeah, I don't want photo. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
So I have a real issue. I'm in Toronto, Canada, and it is freezing and I can't ground. My body does much better in a Mediterranean climate where I used to live, and I used to live in LA for 35 years. So I'm used to being able to ground every day, to swim in a sea, to do my meditation, spiritual work there. It's been beneficial for me financially. I'm an artist, so, you just meet people and, things just evolve. And I have been stuck up here in some kind of a horrid loop for the last 3 years. I do have insurance up here because I am a Canadian, even though I lived in the US most of my life. And it's been one organ after another getting hit with different things. And then emotionally, obviously you can hear the panic in my voice, being out of whack and really being in defense, fight or flight. I feel like I'm fighting for my life and like I could end up dying up here because I haven't been able to generate the funds to leave. I've been on disability since I've been here, which is very limited income, renting a room in someone else's house. I need to know, with the skill of your guest, how to best go beyond this. Yeah. And I've had a spiritual practice for over 40 years, although it doesn't sound like it at this moment.
Yeah, so I just really want to honor you, Christina, for what you're going through right now. And I am holding you in my heart, and I know that you are going to find ways through this and to help yourself really, really feel better and to be healing, to be in an active healing process. Mm-hmm. I have a few different ideas that are coming to mind. And I think, first of all, I do want to say I really encourage you to attend as many of these interviews, to watch as many interviews as you can, because every different expert is going to be sharing some very practical ideas for different ways to heal, different ways to ground, a lot of that I think is going to be really, really valuable to you. So I hope you'll be able to attend a lot of the interviews. What is really, really calling out to be shared with you right now, that is just like screaming in my mind that you have to tell her this, do you know of Donna Eden?
No.
Eden, energy medicine?
No.
Okay. Donna Eden is a woman who she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I believe, at like age 20, and she was given a very like she wouldn't live very long. She wouldn't live past 30 or something like that. And she completely healed herself. And then she went on to develop these energy medicine practices, of which many of them are about grounding, centering, and clearing. And that's kind of what I think the part that's most relevant for you. But she has written some books. She has, I believe you can probably even find videos online. If you type in Donna Eden, her last name is spelled Eden. She has some very, very powerful energy healing techniques that you can do in, anywhere between 5 to 30 minutes a day. But when you make them a daily practice, they are extremely healing and can be really, really helpful. So that's one thing that I'm just called to tell you. So I strongly recommend that you check out Donna Eden and maybe buy one of her books and start doing those energy practices on a daily basis. Is that doable for you to seek out one of her books, maybe online?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any discretionary funds right now. Everything has been going into into food and, just paying for this little room and the supplements that I require, then homeopathics having to be manufactured. I mean, it's been a huge thing, and I'm in my mid-60s, so I'm 66. So I'm just beyond. I really am just beyond, because everything I've done, my work is worth a fortune, and I haven't been able to sell anything since I've been here. And I had a market in Europe, and I had a market in the U.S. But once you're gone for 3 years, nobody remembers. And obviously, I'm in pretty emotional shape today, so I really apologize for that.
Karen was just saying on the chat, Karen just said that there are YouTube videos of Donna Eden that you can listen to. So those would be free and available.
Those would be free. Yeah, I really recommend that. I have, she's just provided incredible results to many different people. And I do her energy practices daily, and I feel a significant difference in my body when I do them. Really, really powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also, Christina, you may already be doing this, but I know you were particularly concerned about grounding, and you mentioned, not being able to connect with the earth as easily in the cold winter. Do you have a practice where you place your feet firmly on the floor indoors where it's warm?
Yeah. And I asked to ground, and with the earth and all of that, and I'll listen to a tape for that, and I'll listen to different solfeggio frequencies and, my own spiritual practice, as well as, different meditative things. So, I do a lot. I do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely check out Donna Eden. And it looks like somebody's actually posted one of her YouTube videos. It looks like there's free content available online. So I strongly recommend making that a daily practice.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Christina. I hope to see you on more of these live interviews.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For Christina and all of them, they're lovely messages. So read the chat column too, because there are other ideas. So as we go through this.
Yeah, I'm trying to find how to I'm not seemingly able to access the chat on this. I don't know how to do that.
There should be a chat button. It might be under more if you have
maybe
more, there may be chat in there.
No, it just says disconnect audio. That's the only option. Share content? No, that would be sharing with other people. No, I don't seem to have a chat button.
Sanja says it's on the top left.
For me, it's leave meeting. I'm on an iPad. I'm on an older iPad.
Yeah, it could be a little different. But I'll publish the chat under the recording of this interview. So, yeah.
Or can you maybe put it in the things in a follow-up email to everybody?
I couldn't do that for all the interviews, but I'll get you the information, Christine.
Thank you.
I'll make sure that you get it.
Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, Christina.
Thank you too.
Okay. So let me go back here. Okay, so Michelle. So we'll have Michelle, and then Kelly will be next. So Michelle, we're bringing you over now. Okay, welcome, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
First, I'd like to say that I will send prayers and healing out to Kristen.
Thank you.
I feel for her.
Yeah.
I have a question about the woodpeckers.
Mm-hmm.
I frequently get woodpeckers outside my kitchen window.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had them actually, I'll be sitting eating breakfast and there'll be one bird that's making a noise very insistently. And when I get up and I go look, I look up in the tree outside the side of my window and there'll be a larger woodpecker, probably about close to 12 inches tall. And then it flew away. So I sat back down and I heard the noise again, and I glanced out the kitchen window, and it was the male and the female had come to the bird feeder. And they were kind of like showing off their feathers when they would eat from the suet feeder. And I'm curious as to what the woodpecker means.
Yeah, woodpecker has a lot of meaning. So there's two key ones for me. One is opportunity is knocking. That's the biggest one. So whenever I do hear the woodpecker, I always kind of stop for a minute and think, okay, what is the opportunity, that wants to be known right now?
Okay.
Yeah. And then also because of their, they just kind of, well, at least, so I have big ones and little ones. I have big ones like that are like 12 inches that are like, have a red head and all that. But there's these little tiny ones here near me too that I see.
Black and white?
Well, they're kind of gray, kind of different colors of gray here, but they could be related. Where are you located?
I'm in the Northeast.
Okay, I'm in the Mid-Atlantic.
So I get black and white striped ones, and the male has the red stripe on the back of its head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I have those here.
Yeah.
Those are little ones. Yeah, but because they kind of crawl, those little ones kind of crawl along the trunk of the tree.
Okay.
It's really cool how they kind of move around and just scoot around the trunk of the tree. So they're very, very, it's very much about an earth connection and a nature connection, just because they're like, especially those little ones, they just hover so close to the tree, and sometimes they go down around the roots and hover down there. Yeah, so very, very much about an earth connection.
Oh, well, that's not surprising then.
Yeah. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, I ground like a snap, even in a building, and I do a lot of things outside. It's through most of the year until it's really cold and there's just no possibility.
Can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been able to connect to a few trees. Beautiful. In an area, a park that's across the bay from me, which I tend to come into an area and it seems very, I want to say holy.
Yes.
And that really seems like a very sacred space.
Beautiful.
So, but I was curious about the woodpeckers.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're very connected to trees too. I think they come, especially people who are connected to trees, because I definitely feel that. I have these particular trees in my backyard that I just feel like a soul connection with. It's really amazing. I wouldn't have expected it would go that deep, but they're just really amazing beings, the trees. So
I tend to find patterns in the bark also that look like things. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yes. What kind of patterns? I'm curious.
I've had a few. I've taken some pictures of some trees in this same park, and one of them actually looked like an elephant, and the trunk, one of the limbs made like a trunk.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And another one looked like a dinosaur head.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this happen to me the same time when I took those pictures. I had lost one of my pets, a dog, 9.5-year-old, had passed like 2 weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this habit of putting his face on the couch arm, and he'd sleep like that. And when I took the picture at the park, I was like, oh my God, this looks like a certain shape. And when I came home and I looked at the picture on my screen, it was the exact shape of his face.
Wow. Wow.
And so I found a picture and I put it on the side of the picture of the tree, and I showed my husband. He was like, oh my God, that's Hank.
Oh.
And it was just amazing.
Feels that,
Amazing.
He's still with you. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well,
thank you for all your information.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. I have a tree in my yard with 2 little hearts on it, a heart here and a heart here. That's just, they're just like so clear. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Michelle. Thank you.
You too.
I'm going to tell a quick little story that Michelle's story just made me think of. We had a Doberman named Abby, she was my first baby. Like before I had human babies, I had Abby. And so she passed away when she was about 9 years old. And just maybe a week after she passed away, we received this package that it was from FedEx or UPS or one of those, but it had written all over it. It had written Abby, dog, dog house, dog, 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 Abby, like all over the box, the FedEx package. It was the strangest thing. And we, got this and we were like, oh my goodness, she's here. She's trying to talk to us, because why would Abby doghouse be written all over a package? It's incredible. There are these moments that you just know there's so much more going on than what we perceive. So wanted to share that. Okay, so Kelly is next, and then we have Jean and Joanna. Wonderful. Love it that lots of people are raising hands. Okay, let's see. So Kelly, welcome. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm calling in from the UK.
Wonderful. So glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you for your lovely talk. Where do I begin?
Uh-oh, can you hear me? It cut out a bit here. Hopefully we can hear her question.
Had a spiritual transformative near-death experience, which was.
Can you hear me? You cut out for a bit there, and I didn't hear the beginning of your question. Do you mind starting over?
Yeah, sorry. So in 2009, I had an experience, a profound experience in hospital, and for a number of years I suppressed it. I didn't speak about it, and then a sequence of sort of spiritual things happened that I could no longer not speak about it. So, and then in the past 12 months, and I'm wondering if it's connected, but I've no outlet. I don't know where to go with it, or in meditation. And it's interesting because you talk about ancestors. My head sometimes goes back and my eyes start to flicker really, really, really fast. It's as if I'm getting downloads of information, but I don't know what it is. And then my jaw starts to shake, and this voice has been coming through. When it happens, I'm out of it, but I'm aware of it at the same time. But because it's not in English, it's in some sort of old language, I guess. I just wondered if you could give. It's still quite under the this stuff's quite under the radar still in the UK, and the odd place I have gone to speak about it, I've not had a particularly supportive reaction, or so it's yeah, I'm a bit, and I must admit, for the past couple of months I've been feeling very like lost with it and emotional with it, and like I feel it's a message of some sort, but I just don't know how to access it or where to turn, so just looking for some guidance.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad you stepped forward and shared, because I know that, you know, when we have these experiences, not everybody understands, and it can be really hard to find the support that you really need, you know, to understand what's going on. And it can feel lonely, right? Because
very lonely.
Friends and family don't understand or aren't open to it or whatever. So I'm so glad you spoke up, and I really want this to be a safe space, this entire conference to be a safe space where we can really, you know, be honest and open about everything that's really happening. So, you know, there's so much happening on our planet right now as far as awakening of consciousness, and I think you're experiencing that. You know, with anything that happens, of course, you want to, I don't know if you've ever, you know, if you felt unsafe, like health-wise, if there's anything you need to get checked out, of course, you know, get things checked out health-wise. If they're, like, I've had heart palpitations, right? So I think that's all related to the connection with the earth, right? And everything, but I got checked by a medical doctor just to be sure I'm good, you know? But I think so many of these symptoms and different things, different, you know, like you're experiencing this voice coming through in a different language. It's part of this new consciousness, and it's part of that imaginal, whether it's our ancestors or our guides that want to communicate with us. They're trying, I would believe that certainly that they're trying to tell you something, you know, they're trying to send a message through you. I think it will be very helpful to you to hear, there's a couple of interviews coming up in the next couple of days. One is Dr. John Ryan, and his book, The Missing Pill, is incredible. He tells about his whole awakening experience. Now, he was a medical doctor, very, very rooted in just fact and science, and he had this all kinds of different awakening and different symptoms and different interesting things happening to his body that he couldn't understand. And he writes all about that in his book, The Missing Pill. So that may be very, very helpful to you to learn how to kind of navigate all these, you know, the things that are happening, the information that's coming through. Also, Marina Jacoby, she's going to speak live on Friday. So Dr. John Ryan is speaking live tomorrow, and then Marina Jacoby is speaking live on Friday. And Marina is like a channel, and she receives messages from other beings. And so I think you might be I just feel like you might really like her interview and like to hear what she has to say and what her experience has been.
No, I really would. Because I'm some people are messaging, which is lovely, sent me some other messages. You can feel, you know, I've put myself out there, and I won't go through, but you know, my late father, it's a very long story, but my late father transitioned 2.5 years ago through suicide. But 3 months prior to my dad doing what he did, I had another experience, which was very profound. Could have been alarming for some people, but where I ended up singing in this voice. I haven't got a nice singing voice at all, but I was singing in this. Wow. It was like a spontaneous singing about Jesus and about archangels and about ridding the darkness off the planet and doing what we agreed to do. Now, I've put that, I'm not frightened of it, but I'm also lost with it. And when my dad transitioned, I got the blame for my dad's transition because of what had happened. And it's okay, my dad's communicating more from spirit than he ever could on the physical. My dad used to astral travel and had experiences, but he suppressed that side of him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's where he needs to be, and he's at one end and I'm on
you can take a
this
more
end.
Part
but it's like you've got all this inside of you, and you want to try and find like-minded souls who, it's like, what am I meant to do with it? I guess.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So,
and I think
yeah, but I'll listen.
You will find like-minded souls here. So, and lots of people are writing really beautiful messages to you in the chat. So, check those out. There's some good ideas there for connecting with other people who might be having the same types of experiences.
Yeah, I'll look up I think someone was put about the shamanic, which I think, I definitely want to explore that side. So, yeah.
Well, as I said, thank you so much for bringing this forward.
No, thank you. Thank you for the great seminars, and it's so needed in the world. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to see you on more of them too. And
you will be doing, definitely. It's nice to find like-minded souls, so you can open up your heart. In fact, it's so important. I think there's so many other people having, as you said, having these things, but it's still sort of that fear factor. I described it as perhaps coming out as gay 20 years ago. There's still that fact, people fearful of coming out and saying what they're experiencing.
Yes, it takes courage for sure. Yeah, but yes, so thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Hope you have a wonderful
day. Thank you to both. Thank you.
Thanks. And thank you to everybody who's writing in the chat. There's some really beautiful comments and information there. So thank you, everybody. Okay, we have Jean and then Morgan. And then I think we probably will have to close this interview, but let's take these last two questions.
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Jean. How are you?
Hey, what's up? So I have kind of a different perspective right now. So as you can see, I'm in corporate America right now.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, I've been kind of going down this path, and it's weird because I feel like I brought a few of my friends onto this path, and my friends are the types of people that would never be on this path, and it's changed their life for a lot better. And I feel like that's kind of my calling because being around my age, I see popular music, I see movies and stuff that are coming out, and there's a lot of darkness, especially in pop culture. Look at Black Mirror, look at the type of music people are listening to. It's a lot of unconsciousness, and I feel I don't know, because I've done ayahuasca before too, and most of the time people do it, they cleanse, right? I had nothing to cleanse. My journey the last few times I did ayahuasca was I had to deal with other people's bullshit. They brought whatever darkness was with them, and I had to sit there and take it and kind of fight it off. But it wasn't coming from me. It wasn't coming from a friend because I brought my friend with me. It was coming from all these people, and they brought all this baggage on them. And I feel a lot of people walk around this world with this baggage, and so there's two parts to this. One part is I'm planning right now to do this thing called van life, where I'm going to build a van out and move to the West Coast. I'm in Chicago now. I'm going to build this van out, make it look super nice, and move to the West Coast and just hopefully taste freedom, be around nature, because I'm missing that in Chicago. I want to go wakeboarding, I want to go snowboarding, and I can't do that here. And I want to keep my job at the same time. But the other part of this is, success doesn't matter that much to me, monetary success, financial success. I don't know how to I feel a big shift is about to happen in my life, but I guess I'm just in the process right now of shifting, and it's just kind of weird because as I've gone down this path, I've gotten more perceptive. I'm able to be around people, and whatever they're feeling, I can feel too, to some degree. So being around negative people is just terrible because I'm just sitting there and they're just putting off all these negative vibes, and I can if they have a stomach ache, I can feel that too. And I was just wondering what your thoughts were on basically the diary of information I've unloaded on you.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, first of all. Thank you for sharing. And I can see that you are going through a big shift and that you have a lot of beautiful things coming up for you. So really, really trust in that and set that as your intention, right? Because what we perceive is what becomes reality. So really, really set that intention strongly that you're going to move into where you can really be yourself. And so one thing I wanted to say is, as far as sacred ceremonies like ayahuasca, if you can do them in a smaller group, right? You got a smaller group because sometimes those things are happening with like hundreds of people, which I think is kind of crazy.
Oh, it was like a dozen or so people, but they all had, yeah. Yeah, but they all, like, a lot of them had issues, you know, like that they brought with them. It's just, it's so much. Like, I sit there, like, I'm sorry, like, keep going.
Okay. And so, yeah, I think that, so I couldn't tell at the beginning, did you say that your friends are supportive of you going through this shift, or that they're not? I couldn't remember what you
Oh, no, I brought my friends along this journey with me. I basically forced them to. Like, they're not the type of guys that would be into this type of stuff, you know? And they're like, oh, you know, like, they like to party and, like, wakeboard and, like, do all these extreme sports. Well, I convinced them, and, like, I'm like, no, like, you think it's bullshit hippie talk, but, like, there's something to it. And, like, I feel like that's what, like, I'm meant to do. I'm meant to, like, kind of, like, shift people. Like, a lot of people have this perception of, like, you know, this new age stuff where they have a picture in their head of what it entails, because people communicate these ideas in a certain way. And if you can change that method of communication and give them, like, the core underlying beliefs, like, you can kind of, like, bring them along the path with you because you approach them at their vibration.
Yeah. Yes. That's very powerful. That may very well be your mission. In this lifetime, or at least for this part of your life right now. So yes, I mean, the most important thing for you to know is to follow your guidance, right? Follow your guidance. And so if you're getting this inspiration to move out to the West Coast, absolutely. I think, you know, to follow that, if it feels right, if you feel passionate about it in your heart, to follow that. And as I mentioned earlier, keep setting your intentions for all good things, for all positive things, and to be in service. It sounds to me like you really want to be in service to the world, right? On a bigger level, you want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you already are. You know, it sounds like you're already convincing your friends that, you know, there's more than what they've experienced so far. So that's really beautiful. I encourage you to keep doing that. And yeah, just follow your heart. That's the best thing you can possibly do.
Yeah, like, weird signs keep happening to me. Like, for example, with this van life thing, the way it happened was, I mean, it's a long story, but I was, like, leaving San Diego to, like, San Diego is the most beautiful city I've ever been in. I was going to, like, LA for a funeral. I was thinking about, like, you know, oh, how beautiful San Diego was and how I can move there. And then at the same time, like, a rainbow and, like, a moon peered over the highway to San Diego. And I was thinking about, oh, like, how am I going to do this? This is scary. And, like, how am I going to move here? I'm going to lose everything. And I started thinking about van life. And, like, I looked to the right, and, like, in big letters was, like, courage, like, commitment, honor. It was, like, the Air Force Base that I just drove by. And then literally the next day, I was longboarding around the city, and I was talking to random people about their vans. You know, I was getting shivers because, like, on the radio, it was, like, all these songs about, like, following your dreams and whatnot. And I go onto this island called Goat Island, and I followed this guy with a Mercedes Sprinter. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, I don't live in this van, but are you here for the van life thing? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's a van life convention going on. I stumbled upon the biggest van life convention in all of Southern California.
Wow. Yeah, that's a sign.
Yeah.
You can't ignore that kind of stuff. That's really awesome. Yeah, so you're tapped in, you know, you're already, like, in the flow of consciousness. So yeah, just keep following that. Just keep your eyes open, keep your heart open. You're already doing it. You already are receiving a lot of clear guidance. So that's really, really wonderful.
And I have one last thing, and then, like, this is kind of personal, but, like, whatever. But like, recently I feel like I just haven't, like, had any interest in, like, most girls. Like, most girls kind of disgust me, like, the type of stuff that they're into, like, you know, the way that they view the world. Like, they're just, I feel like, you know, relationships are sacred, and I really want to find someone who's special, who feels the same way, and who's not just gonna, like, you know, mess around with, like, a whole bunch of dudes. Like, it's their choice, it's whatever, but I want to be with someone that I really care about. And as a result, I feel like my sex drive has, like, just diminished, like, completely. Even though, like, I'm attracting more girls than ever, like, it's almost gone. And the other day I was, like, thinking about, like, man, like, is my body just screwed up? Because I'm not even, you know, like, I'm not even, like, I don't have to drive anymore. I'm just like, am I, like, messing my body up? Like, what's going on? And right when I thought that thought, I looked down on, like, a magazine. It was, like, finding your love connection. There was, like, a heart with, like, a cupid. And I was like, all right, like, I think that's a sign. I got like shivers from that. So
you're being guided. Yeah. I mean, as you move more and more into your true life, like where you're meant to be, how you're meant to be living, and this whole new journey that you're about to embark on, you'll find the right people. You'll find the right woman,
Okay.
Trust in that. And it might take time. And also, all of our physical bodies are going through a lot right now. Like there's so much going on. There's upgrades and HeartMath Institute is documenting this. There have been changes to the Earth's electromagnetic frequency, as well as a lot of solar flares, and all of that affects our physical bodies. So I think a lot of people are experiencing changes to our physical bodies where it's not the way it used to be. Right. And so just to trust that this is all part of a natural process we're going through, and you will get back to to where you want to be.
Yeah.
You're on your path, as you deepen into your path, you'll find the right person. Is that helpful?
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel the shift too. I feel like more people are talking about crazy and crazier topics. And even though I feel like there's a pushback, I feel like there's like a dark curtain, kind of like the darkness of the soul, right before it gets to the light. And I feel like all this drudgery is being kind of mucked out right now. And you can see it in I don't know if you would follow popular music, but people like Lil Pump or Gucci Mane, these are younger artists that my generation listens to, but it's all super degenerate stuff. And I miss the 90s where everything was kind of wholesome. And I want to bring that type of energy back to the consciousness of my generation, because if you look at people at my age, a lot of people joke about suicide, a lot of people joke about not having drive, and I feel like that's the reality that they choose, and that's the reality that was pushed upon them, and I want to change that. I don't know, I'm still trying to figure things out for myself.
Yeah you have a powerful message for the world. You're going to be doing some really important work. I can see that. And I just love that you're here and you're speaking up and you're taking action in your own life to make it what it needs to be. So trust, it's trust, and it's surrendering, to all of this that's happening. But
okay.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing, and
okay.
For reasons, so you just stay in that flow.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks.
Okay. Morgan, let me bring you over and we will speak with you next. And again, wonderful, wonderful comments in the chat. So Jean, if you're still on, definitely listen to or check out the chat and see what people have written, because I think it will be very helpful to you. Okay, Morgan, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, yes.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever done this. So first of all, I just want to say that I so appreciate what you have offered here today. It resonates so deeply from the both of you. I'm kind of nervous because there's a lot I want to say, but I'm going to try to keep it short. I just wanted to say that this ancient mother goddess energy is affected my life through a number of different archetypes, but predominantly the goddess Kali, as you mentioned in your talk. I actually gave birth in August of 2016 to a baby that I named Kali. He was only with us for 4 days. I experienced basically the manifestation, the physical manifestation of what I had dreamed about my entire life, which was, trying to condense it, but basically, physical and emotional darkness and pain in my dream states, to the point where I called them night terrors, but it was a specific attack on my solar plexus, mostly my sacral chakra area. And so this is the first time I've ever articulated this openly to anyone. But basically what happened during the birth, and this is a condensed version, but it eventually needed to go into emergency cesarean, and I was able to experience what I would call like, I'm just going to put it out there because we need to acknowledge the darkness as well as the light. But it was basically a disemboweling experience, but I felt absolutely held by the angels in those moments. I felt in alignment completely with my path on earth in those moments. I had asked before the birth to just allow myself to open up to the energies and to the wisdom, the gifts of nature, I called it. And that means everything, right? Not just the stuff that feels good. But, I know that like when women are with children, they are in that liminal space a lot of the times. And I feel like I've existed there most of my life in this like in between with the lunar eclipse last week and all of that moon extravaganza. Like I have been getting downloads constantly, which I have not felt since that experience. It has been a very dark year. At the same time that I've been working with my grief, I've also been growing my rainbow baby inside of me, and he is right here.
Oh.
I don't know if you can, but I just, and you just woke up. He's been sleeping. But I just
wanted to say hi to us.
But I'm just, I'm trying to wrap it up, but just say that, what you are doing is the work of this time. This is the work. And I think what my particular, contribution is and will be once I'm ready to spread my Phoenix wings, because this baby's name is Phoenix. But when I'm ready to spread my Phoenix wings and offer my medicine to the world like you are, I feel that it's going to revolve around the dark mother energy and the darkness within the feminine that is so oftentimes pushed out, and I'm sure that somebody will speak specifically to that like over the next 10 days. I can't wait for that. But the energy that I'm feeling now is just that it's time to manifest into action, a lot of the things that have just been brewing my whole lifetime. And I'm so glad that you guys are doing this work at this time for me to kind of link in. That's all I had to say, but thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'm sorry. I'll mute myself now.
But beautiful sound. It is a beautiful sound.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. How old is he?
He just turned 3 months on Tuesday.
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing about your journey, and thank you for your kind words, and just many, many, many blessings to you and to Phoenix. And,
thank you.
Yeah, I hope you'll be able to attend lots more of these interviews too, so we can see you.
Oh, yes. Every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye. Oh, that was beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for sharing from your hearts. And I know that there may be questions in the chat and in the Q&A that we haven't gotten to. Let me just see. So Kelly was in Q&A, and we did speak with her as well as Morgan. Let's see. And Joanna. Okay, so Joanna asked a question, which I will answer this briefly. This is a good question for both of us, Taria. And it's not a quick answer question, but maybe we could each answer it briefly before we close here, just to finish up the call. So Joanna has asked, how did you find your calling? And I think that's, like I said, it's not a quick answer, but I'm going to give a summary version. Very interesting in light of what Morgan just shared. I, for sure, when my first daughter was born, had a very, very sacred feminine awakening experience. When my first daughter was born, everything changed. I really, I was working in finance, I was in corporate, I was just trying to get ahead in all the ways that the world tells you you're supposed to, and denying a lot of myself, denying a lot of who I really am. And when my daughter was born, all of a sudden it was like I just woke up and realized this is not the life that I wanted. This is not the life that I want to model for her. I need to do something more meaningful. I need to do something that's in alignment with my heart and soul, and that's going to enable me to do everything I can to leave, the world to her that I want her to live in. And so that just changed everything. So from there on, from that point, I had no idea where to go. And so I just started doing research and reading everything that I could on every single world religion, on like every religion that I could possibly read about. I read as much as I could. And it's very, very interesting. What really started to stand out for me was indigenous wisdom and a shamanic perspective that just called to me. It just called out to my heart every time that I would read, a book related to that, into earth-based wisdom, which of course is intricately interrelated with that. And so I found there the feeling of being truly held and guided and supported by a higher level of intelligence, as I've been speaking about today, that we can connect to through the ancient mother goddess and through our spirit guides and our angels and in these types of ways. So that's how I found my calling. And from there I was called to create Sacred Planet and to create events like this. So hopefully that sums it up. Would you like to share, Taria, how did you find your calling?
Well, it's a wonderful question, I think, for all of us to think about. I feel like I'm about, I don't know, twice as old as you, Jocelyn. I don't know. I'm old. And so I feel like I've had many callings in my life. The many shifts that have come that sort of ushered in any different eras of my life. And I feel like the calling has always come through at a time of breakdown. So it's like when things start breaking down, whatever you've built in the era before that, when it starts breaking down, that can be such a painful, disconcerting, frightening, something you want to resist. But when the breakdown starts happening, that's when something is breaking in and breaking through. And so to really listen into those times that feel like dark times, because they sometimes take away from you things you love or identities that you thought were important or that true, and have been up to that point. But it's like, I think it's really listening into the time when things start breaking down. And sometimes it's just internal breakdown. It's like all of a sudden the things you believed you don't quite have the same sense about anymore. And sometimes it's relationships that come and go and that are painful to let go of, or it can be different ways that your life is breaking down. But I would say really listen into the breakdown, because something's breaking in and calling almost always through that is something reaching out. So
yes, thank you for saying that. It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Darkest hour is just before dawn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
True in our lives. And Morgan said, "Amen, doctor." Wonderful. One more note I want to make. Somebody, let's see, the Toronto Library spoke up here. Okay, so for Christine, and hopefully Christine is still listening or will get this message in some way. So there's a note in here from Deborah at the Toronto Public Library, and she says that, or she's from Toronto, sorry, but she says the Toronto Public Library is a great free resource for books and videos. She just did a search, and the Toronto libraries currently have at least 5 different Donna Eden books available to borrow. So Christine, I hope you get that message and that you can go check out those Donna Eden books in your local libraries.
And Jocelyn, Deb also shared something that's important. She says that we need to push our message to all panelists and attendees so everybody can read them. Some people are only getting that to the panelists, so maybe only Jocelyn and I would be reading them. Or so be sure to, however you would know how to say that, Jocelyn, where to push, make sure everybody's getting your wonderful messages.
When you're in the chat and you go to type in the chat, there's a little blue kind of an oval shape above that where you can click on a drop down arrow and you can choose either all panelists or all panelists and attendees. And just please, everybody, make sure to click on all panelists and attendees when you're commenting in this interview as well as future interviews, because that will make sure the attendees can see your comment too.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to announce that at the beginning of each interview so people know. Yeah.
Mm.
I'll also be posting the chats below the interview. So this interview and all future live recorded interviews will be on the event website. So this will be on the Jocelyn Mercado page of the event website, which you can get to through the event schedule page, and you should all have a link to that in the emails you've been getting.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be posted there within a few hours, and I'll include the chat as well because that is a valuable source of information.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Taria. This has been really fun. Thank you to everybody out there who is tuning in. So happy to have you all as a part of this event. And I can't wait to see what's coming next. So we have the next interview is going to be Simone Wright, and that will be starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. So can't wait to talk with Simone.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your vision, and you're pulling it off, making it happen.
Thank you so much, Taria. And thank you for all that you are doing also to make this event possible. It's just wonderful to work with you in this way. So. All right. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody. And I hope to see you all in the next interview with Simone Wright at 1 p.m. Eastern, which will be live at the same Zoom link that you used to join this one. So hope to see you all there. Bye.